this, and I can clip this later for my YouTube channel. So, what do we got? So you got one. So this whole thing it's a new take on Aggro Shaman. So instead of trying to kill them by out-of-hand burst with Lava Burst and Lightning Bolt and Jade Lightning, you're killing them with out-of-hand burst with Bloodlust. Because you're almost always going to have guys on the board. Because you're Shaman. So if you wanted to make it less like that, you could like chop the things from below for Lava Bursts or something, and maybe a Bloodlust and Knife Juggler made for bolts. Right, and you could go for the burn finish that way. But Thing from Below, I think, is too good against Warrior. So let's go with the list really quickly. So the 1-drops, we don't have good 1-drops in Shaman anymore. We don't have the best 1-drop in the game, so we have to run the neutral stuff. Yeah, right, we have to run like the same boring neutral 1-drops like everyone else gets, right? Because let's see, what are Shaman 1-drops? Unite the Murlocs, not a 1-drop, right? Air Elemental, sucks. Really bad. Really, really bad. Dust Devil, really, really, really bad. Like, why are you playing that, right? And that's your minion options for 1-drops in Shaman. So we have to go with neutrals. And the best neutral 1-drops are Argent Squire, who's been good since forever. Extra good against Pirate Warrior. Extra, extra good against Control Warrior right now. Resilient to Maelstrom Portals. Eats Mana Worms if you're against Tempo Mages, which are starting to come back. Kind of weak against Paladin if they Doomsayer, but play around everything. Kind of bad against Priest because they have Shadow Words. Firefly, I think, is the best neutral 1-drop, period. It's so versatile, because let's say you do it on turn 2, right? You have a 2-4 for 2. Right, you just go Firefly, Elemental. He's a 1-drop, he's a 1-2 that contests the board and doesn't cost you anything. So you'll do stuff like, sometimes you'll coin Jade Claws, right? Kill their 1-drop. You'll have 1 crystal left, and then you'll Firefly, and then you didn't actually spend a card to use your turn, so you kind of passed the turn. But we developed a 1-2 while passing the turn instead of passing the turn. Right, like the other good 1-drop would be like Glacial Shard, but a 2, we're not trying to set up stuff. Like we could maybe consider teching 1 in over the Knife Juggler, but he's not going to replace our 1-drop for, which is Argent Squire, Firefly, and the other good neutral 1-drop is you play Patches the Pirate and you pick your pirates. So in this case, you're playing South Sea Deckhand. We only have Jade Claws to give him charge, but he's still our best Patches activator. Our other options are Bloodsoak Corsair, which we could tech in later if we start running into a lot more Pirate Warriors. We can maybe cut. The Knife Juggler is the big flex slot, right? So he could maybe be cut for a Bloodsoak Corsair if we start running more Pirate Warrior, especially since we don't have stuff like Feral Spirits, since we don't have the Overload stuff for Tunnel Trog. Stone Tusk War, we're not rogue, so we can't play him. That's pretty much it, right, as far as our 1-drops, but they're really important. We have we'll usually have something to do on turn 1, especially if we're on the coin, because coin Jade Claws is great. If you're against a slow class like Paladin, you can even like coin Primal Fin Totem, and that's totally fine. So our 2-drops, Jade Claws, we're a Jade deck, right? So the reason we're running Jades is how Shaman fills the board. Flame Tongue Totem, you got little turd minions, they have really big minions, well your little turd minions kill their big minions. Or you can use it to push 4 face damage, or more. Because don't forget, see how we're running 3 chargers, so you can do the Flame Tongue trick where, I don't know, you have 2 other minions, you attack with both of them, and you drop your chargers next to the Flame Tongue Totem, so they also get the +2 bonus. Your Flame Tongue was worth like 6 or 8 damage instead of just 4. And that makes a big difference when you're trying to push lethal, or trying to set up a 2-turn with your Bloodlusts. Knife Juggler, he's the flex. I like him a lot. If you're playing against a lot of other fast decks, you actually probably want to replace him with Stoneforge Axe or something else. But if you're against any deck where he gets a stick on the board, he's just a massive problem. You have so many cards, like you have Patches with South Sea, that's 2 knives for 1 mana. Firefly, you get an extra knife in your hand for 1 mana, right, so that's 2 knives. Maelstrom Portal throws a knife in addition to the Maelstrom, so maybe you have like a board of 1/1s, and then like 1 2-health minion, you have a 50-50 of killing the 1/2, right, without having to send a minion in, so that's really important. And the Maelstrom Portal, have to run 2 in every Shaman deck. It's probably my favorite AoE in the game. It's so good, right? Like, if you have the spell portal, if you have spell power, it's a 2 damage AoE, great, really good. But like, a lot of people are running like the rogue deck, right now. Novice Engineer, Swashbuckler, Patches, all die. Glacial Shard dies. With spell power, everything in the rogue deck dies except for Gadgets and Ferryman. So that's really, really good. Zoo is starting to get played a lot. Maelstrom Portal's really strong. Pirate Warrior. God, that card's good against Pirate Warrior. All of Hunter's 1-drops died on Maelstrom Portal, right? As you saw earlier. Primal Fin Totem. So this is a card that, like, I think was one of the more questionable cards, right? Like, there are the cards that everyone got wrong, like Living Mana. No one expected to be played in Aggro Druid. It's really good in Aggro Druid. Cherim Sunseeker. No one thought it'd be any good. Turns out it's like core and mid-range Paladin, which is getting a bunch of steam. Primal Fin, I think, is a card that no one really knows how to evaluate. And the way I think about it is, would you play 0/3 minion that always spawns a 1/1? Probably, right? That's 1/4 for 2. That's not bad. That's vanilla stats. Would you play in a deck with Flame Tongue Totem? Yes, you would, because you have Flame Tongue Totem. So they have to kill the little 1/1. They can't just ignore it. Do you play a 0/3 that spawns 2 Murlocs? Yeah, you probably do. That's a 2/5 for 2. That's anything past 1, and you're getting more than vanilla value. It's a totem, counts for thing from below. Flame Tongue Totem counts for thing from below. But then let's say they kill it, right? Well, they probably spent a card to kill it. So you got a sticky minion. You had a 0/3 Death Rattle summon a 1/1. That's really good, right? Like, this card's just really solid, and it's good for if they board clear, you can then drop, like, Primal Fin Totem, and then you have 2 minion spawners in addition to your hero power, in addition to Jade's, and it makes this deck pretty resilient to board wipes. The games I'm losing to Taunt Warrior are the ones where they get, like, both Brawls and a Primordial Drake and Sleep with the Fishes and 2 Whirlwinds, right? Like, where I don't care about their taunt minions. I care about the fact they're killing my board like 5 times or more. That's when the matchup becomes hard. If they're just drawing average, I feel like we're actually favored against Taunt Warrior because we can just refill the board so many times. 3 mana slot, Hex, best removal spell in the game. Miracle Rogue starting to pick up a lot more. Shares and Edwin are great targets. Against other shamans, so like Elemental Shaman, you can target Tolby or Stone Shaper. You can target their big elementals with it. It's, passable against Pirate Warrior. You get to target their Frothing Berserker. MVP against any mage, because all the mages right now, so they're either going to be playing like Ethereal Arcanist if they're running like the Secrets Tempo Mage. Hex is great. If it's some sort of slow mage during the quest, or if it's the new Freeze Mage deck, Hex kills Doomsayer for you. And then you get to keep your big board, and no Freeze Mage in the history of ever has wanted to deal with Bloodlust, because it usually slips right under their Frost Nova turn. Or, it's killing some big Tempo Mage, like it's killing Archmage Ant tonight, it's great. I'm trying to think of the other decks that are being played, right? So, like, Shaman kills the big elementals, kills the efficient taunt dudes. Taunt Warrior, obviously good, you get to get through their taunts without actually spending guys. Mage, great. Paladin, fantastic. So Paladin's coming back. And I thought it was dead, right? Because everyone thought their cards sucked. But it turns out when you give them, like, this crazy, buffy, legendary dude, they're really good now. And you want to be able to get rid of Rag Lightlord and Tyrion Fordring without dealing with it. Or you want to get rid of Wicker Flame Burn Bristle early in the game so you can push early damage and start threatening with your Bloodlust. So Hex is really great there. And Maelstrom Portal is also really great in the Paladin matchup because you kill their Silverhand recruits, you kill their little 1/1 Murlocs are spawning if they're running the Vilefin guy. Stops Patches starts, just a good card. Manti Totem. So the reason this deck works is we actually have a lot of refill. So Manti Totem is really good on an empty board because they have to spend a card to kill it, otherwise it's going to draw you multiple cards. Kind of slow against other aggressive decks, but sometimes it's worth sneaking in there as like heal 3, draw a card for 3, that's probably totally fine. If it draws more than 1 card, it's obviously great. If it costs them a card and draws you a card, it's great. Anything past that, it's absurd. Any card that's a body even is good, right? Because, like, if they leave the Manti alone because they're like, oh, you can just draw cards, but at least it's not hitting me in the face, well, you run Flame Tongue Totem and Bloodlust, so we'll hit them in the face eventually. And then our other card draw is Cult Master. You can get some pretty absurd Cult Master turns. You have Chargers. You can, like, just turn all like garbage 1/1s and Fireflies into fuel to like get more stuff onto the board, and then it's a 4/2 body on top of that. Just really strong, but you only run 1 A second Cult Master would probably be overkill on card draw, and it's also just a really bad stats, right? So if you're not getting a good draw turn off of it, it's not good. Like, I wouldn't play an inverted Gnomish Inventor, right? I wouldn't play 4-2 draw card, Valkyrie. I feel like that would not be a strong card. I think this has to draw at least 2 cards for it to be worth the 4 mana. But, like, that's pretty solid. Jade Lightning, Jade Spirit, that's part of our Jade core. We have to run Jade Spirit in this deck, unlike other aggro shaman decks, because it's one card that spawns 2 dudes. Spawning as many dudes as possible is really important. Jade Lightning, shoot them in the face if it'll kill them, shoot their minion if it won't. It's your board flipper, along with your Maelstrom Portals. And Flame Tongue Totem, we don't have many board flips, but the ones we do are valuable, because the minions we get are really valuable. Bloodlust, this is the card, I actually want to call the deck just called Bloodlust Shaman. Because the reason we run 2, you're very rarely going to need both. In slow matchups, you can use one to get through like a taunt wall, and then like push a lot of face damage. But like in fact, in the matchups, you always want to draw Bloodlust, because your guys aren't threatening unless your Jades are 4/4s or more, right? And our other guys are all really tiny, so we need to draw Bloodlust. So we have to run 2. We don't want to ever see the second one, but we always want to see the first one. So we have to run 2. Aya, it's the end part of our Jade show. Absolutely fantastic. Great against Warrior, Taunt Warrior specifically. Great against Miracle Rogue because what they sap it, and then she still leaves the dude behind, then you play it again. Generally just really strong. Broken card. Jade would not work without Aya. Jade has Aya, so it works really, really well. Play it into Brawl, play it into Doomsayer, just play it, good card. And then Thing from Below, that's our last board refill. So we're not going to be flipping the board, but we're constantly going to be filling the board. And what we're telling them is, if you wipe the board, I'm going to go like Jade Spirit, Totem, Thing from Below, Thing from Below. And you thought my board was gone, but I have 5 bodies, and 2 of them are 5/5s of Taunt. And maybe the Jade Spirit spawned a 3/3 or a 4/4. And then if you don't kill, like, as many of these as possible, Bloodlust can kill you. Like, we're constantly telling people, Bloodlust can kill you. And if you don't kill my stuff, Bloodlust will kill you. If you do kill my stuff, I'm going to, you know, drop a Cult Master, and then, like, Chargers, and then draw a bunch of cards. And then also, because we run 3 Chargers, Patches, and Sassy Deckhand, our Bloodlust gets a bit of surprise damage because you can add 4 or 5 to your Bloodlust if you were holding a weapon with Sassy or Patches the Pirate. So you can get like a lot of surprise lethals where like they counted the Bloodlust, but then you played a Charger and they're dead. So this is maybe also a deck where, because we're trying to win with Chargers, we could maybe consider this guy just because he's a 1-mana Charger, but I probably wouldn't. He just doesn't do enough otherwise. He's pretty dead. Okay, that's the Bloodlust Shaman I've been playing today. I started playing it about 20 minutes before I started streaming to try to get a feel for it. Started at rank 7, we're now at rank 5, so I think we're doing alright. Any other questions about this deck? Obviously the deck list is on the stream. And then if there's any other questions, I will be more than happy to answer them. I feel like this deck is really strong. Really strong against Rogue, either variant. Stronger, so the Elemental Shaman against Rogue, Crystal Core Rogue will always get the quest done, and then your AoE is useless. And then you'll put up Tar Creeper, which is useless. And then like you're getting like your Fire Elemental's turn, and you're dead. So you just lose if you're Elemental Jade Shaman to Crystal Core Rogue a lot of the time. You don't get to tempo them out very much. And then against Miracle Rogue, well, Miracle Rogue loves slow decks. Miracle Rogue feasts on slow decks. Like, they just get all this time to set up, and then they do their gadget turn, and then they just hit you in the face with Arcane Giants, because you have to Hex Shares, and you have to Hex Van Cleave, and you also have to deal with Arcane Giant. So, yeah, kind of hard to deal with. And then maybe they got crazy threats off Hallucination or Swashbuckler or something. Like, this is a Shaman deck that, like, reminds Rogue that in the last meta, Shaman was really hard for them, because the board just kept getting full, and they couldn't clear it while executing their game plan. Taunt Warrior, I feel like generally favored. I've been losing to it a lot, but I feel like that's more misplays on my part, or them drawing gas when I draw dead. Pirate Warrior, you should be favored. Firefly, Maelstrom Portal are so good against Pirate Warrior. Jade Claws is good against Pirate Warrior. Jade Lightning and Hex are good for dealing with stupid 4 health things. You're probably not killing them with Bloodlust, but it's pretty... And obviously every time you click the 2-mana button, you have a chance of rolling Taunt into their Arcanite Reaper and just, like, they lose. If you want to make your matchup against Pirate Warrior better, you could slot in Feral Spirits, you could slot in Bloodstone Corsair to eat their weapon, you could slot in maybe a single Lightning Storm, just an additional board clear. You would think Hot Spring Guardian would be like this crazy tech, but it's not really. It like heals you for 3 and like runs in front of a Arcanite Charge. Usually not the biggest deal. Plus it doesn't fit with the rest of our game plan, so we wouldn't include it, whereas Feral Spirits might. So keep in mind our turn 3 is pretty weak. We can freely Jade Claws on 2 a lot because we're not doing a whole lot on turn 3. So turn 3 is a pretty safe dead turn. We'll be hitting the totem button a lot. So I'll leave this deck